Hey everyone, just know that you can use the promo code BRODES for $20 off of your SeatGeek's total purchase, so make sure you get yourself to a game. The Sixers go to Atlanta and win 105-103 to stay undefeated. They are now 3-0 on the season, and did they really deserve to win this game? I don't know if they deserve to win it, but this is what I will tell you. Great teams find ways to win, and I find this interesting because over the last few years, I always mention how youth is a problem in the NBA. You need to have experience in this league. Veteran players win, and I'm not trying to tell you that Ben Simmons is this veteran player yet, or Joel Embiid is a veteran player yet, but they're not in their first or second season anymore. I think you're starting to see the growth of these two players. When did we ever find ways to win games like this? We never have in the past, and I know Tobias Harris plays a factor, and Al Horford plays a factor in that, without a doubt, and even Josh Richardson. But when you look at Joel Embiid tonight, who had 36 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, a huge monster dunk on John Collins, which I'm pretty sure the funeral for John Collins is coming up next week because he obliterated him. And also Joel Embiid was 10 for 10 at the charity stripe, coming up clutch late with 2 free throws to give the Sixers the lead. So I just think you're starting to see these two take the next step in their growth. Now, it wasn't like Ben Simmons had this amazing offensive night, but he had a couple really nice assists. One where it was a hot potato right back to him. He grabs it instantly and throws it to Tobias Harris under the bucket. He just knew where he was going with the ball way before he received it, and it was unbelievable. It was like a one-timer. He just grabbed it and threw it full speed right to Tobias. I like what I'm seeing out of these two players in terms of their growth and development. One thing with Joel Embiid tonight, though, he had 7 turnovers, and you are starting to see teams double him a lot. He's finding ways to pass out of these double teams, and he's doing a better job with that. One thing Brett Brown said post-game is, yeah, Joel Embiid had 7 turnovers, but it wasn't... That number doesn't describe really his game fully today, and it doesn't describe his sloppiness. He wasn't as sloppy with the basketball as 7 turnovers would say, and I can completely agree with that. By the way, in this game where we grinded it out and stole one in Atlanta, we had to play without Mike Scott because the referees, with a horrendous decision, and I mean horrendous, to kick this guy out of the basketball game for bumping with his chest for a hard foul. In today's era of basketball, is that a flagrant one? Probably. Sadly, that is a flagrant one, but to kick him out of the basketball game, that is an embarrassment to basketball. It really is. And also, we lose Shake Milton coming off the bench as well with an injury, and his knee hyperextended. It looked awful. It really did. I hope he's okay and doesn't miss significant amount of time, but it did look pretty brutal. So we were playing shorthanded. Very shorthanded. And we were still capable of pulling out the victory. Late, this thing got crazy. I mean, there's no denying that. The Sixers were down 98-90 with 4 minutes and 36 seconds left. From that point, the Sixers outscored the Hawks 15-5. And with those 5 points the Hawks actually scored, 2 of them was because of a tip-in play late after a missed free throw by Trae Young, and then the other one was the free throw made for Trae Young in the beginning of that series. So the Sixers did a tremendous job. You could argue that Len maybe had a couple open looks that he wasn't able to drill there from 3, sure. But you still outscore them 15-5 in the last 5 minutes of the basketball game, and that's the difference maker. One question Brett Brown was asked before the season even started, who's going to be your closer? Who will be the Sixers closer since Jimmy Butler is no longer here? His answer was pretty obvious, right? Joel Embiid. In the game, late, you need a bucket. You do a little high-low with Al Horford and Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid gets the ball, he gets fouled, and listen, when a big man can knock down his free throws, he's so dangerous. Think about all the big men in this league throughout time who couldn't shoot a lick from the charity stripe. Joel Embiid is going 10 for 10. That changes the game. That changes everything you can draw up for your big man late. And Joel Embiid executed. Now let's get to Tobias Harris because he struggled today, but there's something I loved about his game. So he went 1 for 9 from 3, a little sloppy, really tough night, but he wanted the ball in his hands late. And he had a play where he was backing down Cam Reddish. It was a big time moment in the game. We really needed a bucket. He was backing down Cam Reddish. Finds a way to square himself up to the basket and gets a big-time 2-pointer late. It didn't matter what happened throughout the game. It didn't matter that he missed a 3 in the corner a little bit earlier in the sequence, which would have been huge. It doesn't matter that he missed a ton of shots all night. It was late in the game. The clock was expiring. Not the shot clock I'm talking about. I'm talking about in terms of the game clock running out. It was getting later in the game. And he demanded the ball and wanted to make the play. And he did. And he did make that play. The Sixers, though, shot 11 of 41 from 3 as a whole. That's 27%. You saw throughout this game the spacing. The spacing is still a problem. You can enter the Ben Simmons needs to shoot comments here, and yes, he definitely does, and I've been on the record forever now saying he's not just going to do it. He's not going to go from one extreme to the next. Would I like to see a little bit more here and there? Yes. Have I saw a couple of chances through the first 3 games where he did take a form of a jump shot? I did. Would I like more? I would like more. But maybe he just needs to find the rhythm here and find where he's comfortable throughout. I think there will be a time where he takes them more. But the spacing on the floor has been a little bit of a problem throughout the first 3 games. But you need time to gel. You need time to figure out how this will work offensively. You definitely do. 11 of 41, that's a lot of 3-pointers to take. It's a lot of 3-pointers to miss. But one of the reasons why we are shooting so much from 3, specifically in tonight's game in Atlanta, when Joel Embiid's getting doubled, he has to kick out. And when he kicks out, he's finding a guy wide open from 3. Would you not take that shot? You do take that shot. So the doubling of Joel Embiid sort of forced the Sixers to take those shots because when he kicks out, it's available. When it was 103-100 with 9 seconds left, Brett Brown elects to foul Trae Young on purpose to send him to the line for 2 so we can't tie it up for 3. Smart move. He makes the first one, and he's been good at the free throw line all night long. You would assume he would make 2, but he ends up missing the second one, and that's where John Collins gets a tip on it. And I look at the Sixers' defense in that moment and say, you can't allow John Collins to get the tip back up. You just can't. So ultimately, they got their 3-point play to tie the game anyway. But as I stated already, Joel Embiid and Al Horford with the high-low was the difference. One thing about Al Horford's game I didn't like tonight, he only had 4 shots from the field. I want more than that. I want more out of Al Horford offensively. I know when Joel Embiid has these type of nights where he's dominating, he's scoring 36 points, he's giving you the pump fake from 3, and he's driving, and he's Euro stepping, and he's finding his groove, and he's dunking the basketball. I know it's hard to maybe get other people looks, and not other people as a whole, but specifically maybe the 4 position because he's dominating there at the 5. Maybe it's tougher for someone like Al Horford with his game to find more shots. But 4 seems a little low for me, and I'm not a big fan of that. Matisse Thybulle had a couple steals, had a couple blocks there early. Knocked down 2 3-pointers. He was 2 of 7 from 3, but what I liked out of him was he wasn't afraid to shoot it. In the last game, he was pretty brutal offensively, and specifically when he's on a fast break, he doesn't look the most comfortable. Spot up, shooting a wide open 3, I think that's his best stability right now, but he knocked a couple down, and he wasn't afraid to keep shooting more, and good, by all means, keep shooting the ball, Matisse. Find your stroke, find your rhythm, but he was effective with his hands once again, and we know what he's going to bring to the table defensively. Next up, Minnesota, a 3-0 team at home Wednesday night, so that'll be fun. We had an undefeated matchup against the Hawks, and now we have an undefeated matchup against Minnesota next. But this Hawks team is legit. We know about their head coach. Trae Young is fun to watch. He had 25 points. How about Hunter? Hunter gets 14 points, knocked down a couple threes. Herter, he's a weapon as well. I think the Atlanta Hawks, their stock is rising, and it all starts with their head coach, who I think knows the game very well. He's smart, and he always plays the Sixers tough. Clearly, he knows some things about the Sixers, but he always plays the Sixers tough, and he knows the game of basketball, and it will be interesting to see how this team develops throughout the season. The Hawks pulled away a bunch of times in this game, and the Sixers always found the way to somewhat pull closer or tie the game or just at least pull within 2 or 3 points consistently throughout this game. I mean, the Hawks continuously pulled away and in the beginning of the game took control, but great teams hang in there. Great teams come together. They don't pout. They keep their body language positive. They continue to battle, and that's exactly what this Sixers team did on the floor. It's very impressive. It truly is. To think we are now 3-0, and 2 of these games, we didn't outplay the opponent. Well, I guess I can't say that about the second game this season, because down the stretch, the Sixers clearly made plays happen. And in this game, technically, yeah, I mean, the same thing happened, but all around throughout the 48 minutes, I don't know if the Sixers in the last 2 games had their best basketball or even played better than their opposing team. But that's when you know this team is something special. It's not the smoothest. It's not the most beautiful thing to watch in the world. But they're grinding it out. It will come. It only takes time to figure out what works. The spacing needs to be addressed. It does. You're seeing the flaws in the spacing right now. Not having Obama, as Brett Brown would say. And I know he's trying guys like Furkan. And hell, it could be Shake Milton. He was knocking down a couple big-time shots. And it's a shame because he got injured. And it looks like it might be something that will knock him out a little bit of time. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. It just looked that bad in the replay and during the game live. All around, though, my point is this. I'm cool with it being the way it is right now. To still rack up the wins, that's what's important. This team in the past never won these basketball games. They are now. There's so much time to develop offense. There's so much time to find ways to implement certain players in certain situations and just to feel out the roster and the team and the rotation. There's plenty of time for that. The important thing is, while we are adjusting and while we are learning this, we are still getting the wins. That's important. So let's see how this team responds on Wednesday. But all around, I look at their effort in Atlanta. I look at Joel Embiid's dominance. I look at that Joel Embiid dunk, and I lose my mind because it's unreal to think where this Sixers team is. Mentally, they're tough right now, too. I'm telling you. At no point in that game did I sit on my couch and think we are going to win. Because I've never seen this team do that with these type of games. I was convincing myself it's a long season, bros. There's 82 games in these seasons. You can't react and overreact like it's a 16-game NFL season. There will be losses. Do the math. If you win 55, how many are you losing? You're going to have to know that. But we pull in late. We pull into this game. We take the lead. They tie it back up. The Sixers take the lead again. Vince Carter pulls up for this prayer shot at the end. And I watched Joel Embiid filled with excitement. One thing I forgot to mention that pissed me off, though, is when Joel Embiid had that dunk on John Collins, and yes, this is my 3rd time now bringing it up because it was that special, he gave a little shimmy, right? He gave a little shimmy because he just showed his dominance and murdered a man. I mean, he murdered a man. And he gets teed up for that garbage? He gets teed up for that? What's wrong with a little celebration after making a nice play? There's nothing wrong with that. You can't be teeing this man up. He murdered a man. And he's celebrating it. Unbelievable. I'm fired up. Alright, well. There we have it. There we have it. A Sixers 105-103 win. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.